In the heart of Las Vegas, a city renowned for its vibrant nightlife and bustling casinos, a tragedy unfolded that would forever alter a community. On November 1st, 2023, Jonathan Lewis, a 17-year-old student at Rancho High School, believed he was meeting friends after class. Instead, he walked into a deadly trap. The confrontation, which escalated over a pair of wireless headphones and a vape pen, culminated in a brutal assault that left Jonathan fatally beaten. The incident, captured on video, shocked the entire school community and raised pressing questions. Who orchestrated this violent act, and what drove a group of teenagers to commit such a heinous crime? As investigators delved deeper, they uncovered a web of events leading up to that fateful day. Jonathan, known for his kindness and willingness to stand up for others, had intervened when a friend was bullied and had personal items stolen. This act of bravery, however, made him a target. The ensuing events revealed a chilling narrative of peer pressure, misguided loyalty, and a community grappling with the aftermath of senseless violence. Through exclusive interviews, eyewitness accounts, and expert analysis, this story seeks to unravel the mystery behind Jonathan Lewis's tragic death and explore the broader implications for youth culture and safety in schools today. November 2023. A brutal attack outside Rancho High School in Las Vegas would shock the nation. 17-year-old Jonathan Lewis lay on the cold pavement, his body battered, his injuries catastrophic. A violent ambush carried out by classmates he once considered peers. Hours later, doctors confirmed the unthinkable. Jonathan was brain dead. Days later, he was gone. But what really happened that afternoon? Was this just a case of teenage aggression gone too far? Or was something more calculated at play? What began as a simple dispute over a stolen pair of headphones and a vape pen escalated into a deadly mob beating, one that would leave an entire school community grappling with the weight of its consequences. In this story, we uncover the truth behind the attack, the chilling details of that fateful encounter, and the unanswered questions that still haunt those who knew Jonathan best. Who was responsible? What led to this explosion of violence? And could it have been prevented? This is the story of Jonathan Lewis, a young man whose life was cut short far too soon. Rancho High School, a bustling campus in the heart of Las Vegas, where students gathered between classes, laughter filled the hallways, and life moved forward in the usual rhythm of high school existence. It was a place of learning, of friendships, of the everyday dramas that come with teenage life. But on one cold November afternoon, that rhythm was shattered. The sidewalks outside the school, where students typically met to chat or wait for their rides, would soon become the site of a brutal and deadly assault. A place meant for safety had transformed into something else entirely, a crime scene. Jonathan Lewis was like any other 17-year-old. He was known for his easygoing nature, a kid who never backed down from defending those he cared about. He had a small but tight-knit circle of friends and, like many high school students, spent his days navigating the social complexities of adolescence. But in the weeks leading up to November 1st, something had changed. A simple theft, one that should have been insignificant in the grand scheme of things, became the catalyst for a growing storm. It started small: a pair of wireless headphones, a vape pen, items that, on their own, seemed trivial. But when they went missing, they became something else, a point of contention, a reason for resentment. Jonathan, wanting to do the right thing, stepped in when he believed a friend had been wronged. He called out those responsible. But instead of settling the dispute, his actions ignited a dangerous grudge. A divide formed. Tensions simmered beneath the surface, quiet at first, unnoticed by most. But they were there, waiting, growing, preparing to explode. What Jonathan didn't know was that a plan was already in motion, a plan that would turn a simple disagreement into an act of unthinkable violence. November 1st, 2023. The day had started like any other at Rancho High School. Students moved through their classes, discussing weekend plans, upcoming tests, and the usual teenage concerns. Jonathan Lewis had no idea that this day would be different, that by the time the final bell rang, his fate would already be sealed. That afternoon, Jonathan received a message from someone he thought was a friend. The text was simple: "Meet us after school. We need to talk." He was told it was about the stolen items, the headphones, the vape pen, the dispute that had been simmering for weeks. It was an invitation to clear the air, to put everything behind them. But in reality, it was something far more sinister. As Jonathan approached the designated meeting spot, a quiet area just off campus where students sometimes hung out after school, he noticed something was off. The usual chatter and movement were replaced by an eerie silence. The moment he turned the corner, he saw them, 15 of his classmates. They had been waiting for him. Eyewitness accounts describe what happened next as something out of a nightmare. It was quick, one student later recalled. 1 second they were talking, and then it was chaos. Jonathan barely had time to react before the first punch landed. Then another, and another. He was pushed to the ground, surrounded, completely outnumbered. Fists struck his face, kicks slammed into his ribs, and when he tried to stand, he was knocked back down. He pleaded for them to stop, but the blows kept coming. A video would later surface, recorded on a student's phone. The footage was horrifying. A group of teens laughing, shouting, egging each other on. Jonathan curled up on the pavement, covering his head as the attack continued. And then, the most devastating moment, one final, brutal stomp to his skull. The moment that changed everything. By the time someone finally intervened, it was too late. Jonathan lay unconscious, his body limp. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but the damage was done. He was rushed to the hospital, placed on life support. But the injuries were too severe. Days later, doctors delivered the heartbreaking news to his family. Jonathan was brain dead. There was nothing more they could do. The school, the city, the entire community was in shock. How had something like this happened? How had a fight over something so trivial escalated into a brutal, premeditated attack? Parents questioned their children. Teachers asked if they had missed the warning signs. The students who had once laughed with Jonathan in the halls now whispered his name in disbelief. And yet the biggest question remained: why? Was it really just about the stolen items? Or was there something far more disturbing lurking beneath the surface? In the days following Jonathan's death, investigators began piecing together what had really happened that afternoon. What they found was more shocking than anyone had imagined. The attack hadn't been random. It hadn't been an impulsive outburst of violence. It had been planned meticulously. The students involved weren't just classmates or casual acquaintances. Many of them had been Jonathan's friends, people he had laughed with, shared lunches with, and trusted. And at the center of it all were a few key figures, a small group of students who had orchestrated everything from the beginning. Police uncovered text messages exchanged in the weeks leading up to the attack, conversations that revealed a deep-seated resentment toward Jonathan. "He thinks he's better than us," one message read. "He needs to be taught a lesson." Another text was more direct. "After school, no backing out." At first, the reason behind this hostility seemed clear. It had started with the stolen items. But as detectives dug deeper, they found something else. Something far more unsettling. Jealousy, betrayal, group mentality. The stolen headphones and vape pen had been nothing more than an excuse, an easy justification for something that had been festering beneath the surface for months. Jonathan had unknowingly made enemies, not because of what he had done, but because of who he was. He had stood up for a friend, he had refused to conform, and for some, that was enough. For others, it was personal. One of the ringleaders, a student Jonathan had once considered a close friend, had been nursing a grudge. Witnesses later claimed there had been tension between them, arguments, moments of quiet hostility, and when the theft happened, it became the perfect opportunity to act. The messages revealed a chilling reality. The attack had been premeditated. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment brawl. It was a calculated, deliberate assault. A performance even, one meant to send a message, to solidify a group's power, to humiliate and destroy. And Jonathan, tragically, had walked straight into the trap. The school community, already shaken by his death, now faced an even more horrifying question. How could people who had once called Jonathan a friend turn on him with such violence? Was it peer pressure, a desire to belong, or was it something even darker, something that no one had seen coming? In the days following Jonathan's murder, the investigation moved swiftly. Detectives combed through hours of surveillance footage from Rancho High School and the surrounding areas. Witness statements provided chilling details, accounts of students seeing Jonathan being lured away, of hearing the sounds of fists landing, of watching in shock as the violence unfolded. But the most damning evidence? Cell phone records and social media messages. Investigators found group chats filled with discussions about the attack. Some messages contained direct threats. Others showed students laughing, treating the assault as if it were a game. A Snapchat video sent just minutes before the attack showed one of the suspects grinning into the camera. The caption read, "It's happening." It didn't take long for police to track down those involved. Within a week, 9 juveniles were taken into custody, their names withheld due to their age. As the case developed, prosecutors faced a difficult decision. How should these suspects be charged? While all had participated, only a few had led the attack. The community wanted justice, but the legal system had to navigate the complexities of trying minors for such a violent crime. In the end, 4 of the teenagers were charged as adults with second-degree murder. The rest faced charges as juveniles, including conspiracy to commit battery and assault resulting in substantial bodily harm. Court proceedings would drag on for months, with plea deals and reduced sentences sparking public outrage. Jonathan's family, devastated by their loss, attended every hearing, fighting for accountability. "There's no justice for Jonathan," his mother later told reporters. "Nothing they do will bring my son back. But they can't just walk away from this." Legal experts weighed in on the difficulties of prosecuting teenagers. Some argued that they were too young to understand the consequences of their actions. Others pointed to the premeditated nature of the attack, insisting that they knew exactly what they were doing. "This wasn't just a fight that got out of hand," one detective stated in an interview. "This was a planned, coordinated act of violence. These kids weren't out of control. They were in control. They made a choice." Rancho High School, once just another high school in Las Vegas, was now infamous. Students struggled to return to normalcy, haunted by what had happened. Teachers held discussions about bullying, peer pressure, and violence. But for Jonathan's family, there was no return to normal. Their son was gone, and no amount of legal action could change that. The case of Jonathan Lewis serves as a chilling reminder of how quickly things can escalate, how trust can be betrayed, and how a moment of violence can destroy countless lives. His story is not just about justice. It's about the choices we make, the warning signs we miss, and the consequences that come when cruelty is left unchecked. How did a simple dispute turn into a murder? And how can we prevent it from happening again? The tragic death of Jonathan Lewis sent shockwaves far beyond Rancho High School. His family was left shattered, forced to live with an unbearable emptiness. Friends struggled to process how someone so full of life could be taken in such a brutal way. But beyond the grief, one question lingered. Could this have been prevented? Across Las Vegas, parents held their children a little tighter. Schools reevaluated their approach to conflict resolution. Teachers wondered if they had missed signs, if they had ignored the subtle tensions brewing beneath the surface. And students? Many of them saw themselves in Jonathan. If this could happen to him, could it happen to anyone? The case sparked difficult conversations about peer pressure and the role of social media in teenage violence. Messages and videos shared before and after the attack painted a disturbing picture: how groupthink and digital bravado could turn a small conflict into a deadly confrontation. The ability to document violence in real time, to share it as entertainment, had desensitized an entire generation. And now, the consequences were devastating. In response, the Clark County School District announced new initiatives to address bullying, violence, and peer mediation. Conflict resolution programs were introduced, designed to teach students how to handle disputes before they escalated. Increased monitoring of student interactions, both online and in person, became a priority. But for many, these measures came too late. For Jonathan's mother, no amount of policy changes could bring her son back. He should be here. He should be planning his future, going to college, living his life. Instead, I'm left visiting his grave. Jonathan's story is more than a crime. It's a warning, a reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control, how small resentments can turn into something much darker. It's a story about the dangers of blind loyalty, of the influence of social media, of the consequences of standing by when something feels wrong. Now, we want to hear from you. What could have been done differently? Should the school have intervened earlier? Could parents have spotted the warning signs? And most importantly, how do we stop this from happening again? Let us know in the comments below. If you were shocked by what happened to Jonathan, help us keep his story alive. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another true crime story. Your engagement helps spread awareness about the dangers of peer pressure, school violence, and the power of standing up for what's right. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the most chilling stories aren't fiction. They're real.